Hello, dear friends. I would like to inform you about my new plan to exchange, to change the military operations with civil military counterterrorism formations. How can I do it? First of all, I would like to offer a new program, educational program, and then to test this program in the masses of small and middle businesses in Russia and other countries. So it's my new experimental approach how to stop kinetic wars like it is in Ukraine and other countries. So let's
Civil
start.
Military Counterterrorism, CMCT, in out of the USA. The CMCT is a response to deglobalization and the rise of non-centrism in state building and governance. The importance and role of knowledge about self-government and self-defense of citizens themselves in their city-states is underway latently or openly. The reality is that the fragmentation of the 50 microsecond states under Trump 47 makes them increasingly autonomous in relation to the former hegemony of the bloc of the DMOS and RINO. 2 states out of 7 are clearly against Trump's reforms: California and New York. And there is fragmentation in favor of supporters of non-centrism, when Trump is not ready and even willing to become a king. And this is laid down in the recently published National Security Strategy 2025. I am talking about the reformatting of American civilization for its 250th anniversary, her armed forces, the economy, and relations with the outside world are under resetting with the help of OpenAI for the sake of openness. For example, the Football World Cup will attract not only money from outside, but also the sympathy of 4 or 5 billions of football fans around the world. There are 89 regions in the Russian Federation, and in them there is a real latent emergence of 120 cities like states, city-states, with a population of 1.5 million in each for self-government based on ICAI and other means of digitalization. After all, about 200 ethnic groups in the Russian Federation, with their DNA in the tunnels of genetic memory, have been paving the way to peaceful convergence with each other in the outside world. They need the CMCT. The outside world itself is under the powerful influence of Trump 47, who is driving out millions of illegal freeloaders and entrenched 20 plus million migrants from the United States, alas, often with anti-American views and sentiments among Islamists, pro-communists and anti-Semites. Relying on OAI, Trump and his team are driving them out of the United States for their proven and fixed connections by teams from the DOJ, the FBI and the CIA, one with embezzlement DMOS, 2 anti-American communities in Somalia, EU countries, Australia, Scandinavia, etc. There are 10,000 Buryats moved to the United States from Buryatia. It's a subject of the Russian Federation to preserve their self-identity there. If the melting pot of Americanism is alien to them, then OAI will quickly find it out, and then they, like hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian refugees, will be deported under Trump's peace treaty due to the end of the special military operation by the Kremlin and Biden. Although, in case of voluntary deportation, as proposed by the Trump administration, such displaced persons can return to their homes already with knowledge of the CMCT technology in order to support the Trump cybersecurity strategy 47/48. I will talk about it separately later. Trump's cybersecurity strategy is an apple of eye of the new national strategy, and it has been changing from relying on English-speaking allies to any external relations, thanks to AGI. Young people and adults in their ethno-religious and other communities, even within latent city-states, with ITAI skills, will push forward the progress of digitalization for 3 years, for example, in Kazakhstan, in order to stand for Trump 48 in the nearest future. That is why I and my team should create a methodology for teaching the CMCT in Russian as a common language for citizens of the ex-USSR and out of the United States, Australia, and other countries with Russian-speaking diasporas. This will accelerate deglobalization through the growth of emerging city-states as buffer zones against potential attacks by real dictators and autocrats. The civil military counterterrorism is to activate internal reserves, natural, labor, and intellectual against violence and lies as the main pillars of autocracy and its bureaucracy. There are schemes for civilian hubs centers of the CMCT since the time of cooperation in the field of counterterrorism between the United States and the Russian Federation after the events of 9/11. They used the methods of old-school counterterrorism strategists based on the primacy of brute military and police force. Nevertheless, those methods have thrown off the mask of democratic elections. They have been successfully used by regional organized crime groups in the interests of PSYDO imperialists in Ukraine and the Russian Federation. Such federal authorities and their local mercenaries are against local self-government. Regional organized crime groups in the Russian Federation have seized and colonized, like Europeans in the Third World in the last century, not only their territories with not their natural resources, but in nearby nations, like the lithium belt of Donbass. Behind the expulsion of their imperialists, there is the CMCC control over greedy multinationals by the Kazakh opposition to President Tokayev with his still reliance on the bloc of autocracies from the SCOBRICS nations. And it leads to the detriment of Kazakhstan's obligations to the US peace pact with 7 countries of the South Caucasus and Central Asia. The examples of the balkanization or fragmentation of Kazakhstan, Ukraine and Belarus clearly prove the advantages of deglobalization by peaceful means of the CMCT. Such examples in the system of educating children and young people will become the stable intellectual support of city-states in one or another Gaza, where from 2025 Trump 47 creates civil military groups to observe the achieved acts of peace by the Peace Council. It is quite possible to use groups of Russian-speaking Kazakhs, Ukrainians and Israelis, Jews, Arabs, etc. in Gaza as a future luxury resort. So, the CMCT has the following functions in the hands of civilians. 1. Provide the full range of CT powers to the third sector, relying on finance from SMEs, and not the UN and TNCs, as usual. 2. Lobby for laws on CMCT tools, preventive and non-military, to influence the development of the third sector. 3. Statistics from the field on terrorism and militant radicalism. In the United States, Trump equated it with terrorism against the emotional and deceitful rhetoric of the thieving bureaucracy. 4. To create by citizens themselves OAI matrices of threats to them and their NGOs. 5. To combine local plans of cyber self-defense with the autonomous solution of tasks from other actors of the CMCT. 6. To identify, track, and create a cohort team of scientists from the Russian Federation, Kazakhstan, Estonia, and Lithuania to work on civil-military convergence on the basis of the CMCT training program for SMEs and NGOs prepared in 2 stages. A. The CMCT training program for SMEs and NGOs. B. With their further testing coaching on the internet openly to others. Vladimir Luka.
Well, that I wanted to say, and I've done it. So now I'm waiting for your requests, your questions, your offers to cooperate. So see you very soon.